Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of the Stacey West Podcast. I am your host, Ben. I'm not with Gary, I'm not with Chris, and I'm not with Charlie. Gary and Chris are in a field somewhere, and Charlie's in the middle of a move. So, I'm joined by Liam Scully. How you doing, mate? You keeping well?
Yeah, very well, thank you, Ben. Really good to see you. Hope you're well as well.
Yeah, we're not doing too badly, thanks. So it's been a busy old summer, but we're approaching what we all love on Saturday. So, very busy times. I imagine it's been a busy time for yourself as well. I think just before this, you said you've been in and out of meetings all day, which, we can appreciate. It's probably been a bit chaotic, has it?
Yeah, the summer months in a football club are always really interesting. Obviously, the footballers get a little bit of a holiday before coming back and having their pre-season. But yeah, it's our really busy time, certainly, off the field and in the business side. So plenty to be done. Various range of kind of projects that are going on in terms of upgrades to the stadium and the EPC and even at Rise Home for the academy. And then, of course, there's the usual transfer window and the stuff on the field that we're obviously trying our very best to execute well so we can enjoy the 9 months of the season together as well. So, it's been a really busy time, but, very positive summer. I'm sure we'll go on to this, but very happy with what we've done this year, this summer so far. So, hopefully we can all sit and enjoy what's going to be the season ahead with some pride and some real enjoyment.
Well, I mean, let's start there straight off. I mean, the squad has seen a lot of changes, as is usually the way in the summer months. Is everything about where you think we'd want it to be? And are you able to talk, targets, ambitions for the season? Is there kind of an internal goal to maybe go one step further than we did last season, in spite of the fact that the league is obviously going to be a much stronger division than we had last year, given some of the teams that have come down and come up?
Yeah, so I suppose, I don't want to swerve the answer, but, the ambition for Lincoln City is to be an established championship football club. And that's what we're all working towards every single day from the board, investors, Jez, Michael, and everybody on and off the field. That said, I do think looking at the constitution of the division this year, seeing what's been spent, seeing what's happened with some of the clubs that I would probably categorise as being in our bracket of expenditure. I think off the bat, I would say a 10th place finish this year coming would be better than the 7th place finish last year. Mm-hmm. That said, is that our ambitions, or is that where we're going to be? Like, no, but we have to recognise what's ahead of us. So we're applying everything we can in order to achieve that master ambition and reach the championship and not only that, but once we get there, do so in a style that means we can survive and continue to grow. But it's not, that's never going to be easy. So very, very pleased with where we're at. Very optimistic for the year ahead. Equally very realistic when you just have a look at some of the fixtures and see some of the business that teams have done. So hopefully that answers your question without being too much of a politician there.
No, that's fine. I mean, look, you ask what the internal targets are. We know we're not getting an answer, so fair enough. But look, I mean, obviously, you must have seen the content as well. We all sort of said a similar thing. It's probably, maybe a step too far to be beaten where we were position-wise last season, but in terms of the overall picture, I think it's probably going to be a much healthier environment in the club, throughout this season. But with kind of linked to that, obviously you talked about money being spent and investment in clubs and things like that. We've obviously had our own investment from Ron Fowler over the past few months, coming in to sit with Harvey and provide another source of investment for the club. How has that been internally? Because externally it seemed like a huge deal. There was a lot of, particularly a lot of talk in America, because Ron's well known over there for his investments in sport in the US. And how has it felt from your position and other people within the club? Has it felt like a bit of a seismic shift, or is it more of an addition to what we had previously?
Look, it's definitely the latter in terms of an addition to the model, the aims, objectives of the football club remain the same. And when we are looking to bring people on board, as significantly as Ron and his son Andrew or others, it's always about joining Lincoln City as we know it, and working towards that overall plan. But let's be really clear. Ron is a serious operator. What he's done in professional sport, not just in baseball, but he's had experience in football, in soccer, and as well. It would be rather silly of us not to listen to his wise counsel, take his feedback. We had a great opportunity to show him around Lincoln and the football club at the back end of last season. There's definitely been that onboarding process and working together. But that relationship started a number of years ago when we were out visiting, Harvey and his family in San Diego, and we were introduced to Ron back then. So I think the difference, I guess, is Ron's now got skin in the game, and he's far more, he's even more engaged than he was previously. I think just so you and the fans are all aware, we obviously have a large board. And they meet quarterly and definitely deal with the big rocks and the strategic elements. But the Exco board hasn't changed materially. So we've still got Clive as chairman, Jay Wright vice chairman, David Lowes, who's both a fan engagement director, as well as Harvey. And effectively, Ron's interests are managed through Harvey at this moment in time, and we'd expect that to be the case for a while longer, really. So yeah, I think in terms of has anything materially changed and what the fans would see, probably not. But we've managed to, very appreciative of someone like Ron with his acumen, and of course, the fact that he is going to financially support the club. It's definitely a positive move, and one that we're excited to kind of working with Ron, his family, and continuing that, both from the financial interest and then just from the sheer learning and the experiences and the network that we can tap into of his from North America.
Excellent stuff. I mean, yeah, it's always nice when you get investment into a football club, isn't it? And you're on the other, you're on the fan side of it, and you get dreams of buying everybody and having the billionaire levels of Man City, etc. But yeah, I think we've seen it in the past, and I think hopefully we will continue to see that it's a sensible structure of investment where we won't go out and spend millions all of a sudden because we have the potential to do so. It's kind of it's about the staggered growth, I guess, and the consistent growth that we've seen over the past few years, and it's just whether we can then move that into the next level, which, like you said, hopefully will take us to the championship. So
we're still us, and the fabric of the club is incredibly important. It allows us to probably have a little bit more financial, wares, and as you've seen, the reinvestment and some of the decisions that we've made throughout the summer. But yeah, we are still very much the Lincoln City everybody has got to know and hopefully love over the past 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons.
Excellent. So yeah, I mean, let's talk about that recruitment then, because obviously you've mentioned the stuff that's happened over the summer. I think it's fair to say that it looks really strong this year. We brought in a number of players with maybe on the younger side, which we would expect to see, and there's been a lot of what we'd probably term long-term contracts. So that ties into what we know about the development strategy and the model, for want of the better words, on that one, with the view to reinvestment in the future. Are you, I suppose it's probably a bit of a softball question, but you're happy with what's come in so far? And more importantly, are we happy with the way that the outgoings have been dealt with? Particularly with like Lucas and Lass, and the amounts that have come in on that side of things.
Yeah, so I think breaking this down, the bit that's suboptimal in Lucas and Lass is that we've sold within our own division. Let's not shy away from that. We have to accept that wasn't ideal, but ultimately that was the market that was there and was available. I think the fact that in the course of time, all being well, and realistically, the fact that Lincoln City will net £1 million plus from players that had 1 year's left of their contract, had been with us. I think that's incredible business, given the market, given that we know what's going on out in this moment in time. And I think, just for clarity, when it might not quite be at the 7 figures stages combined right now, but realistically, we can see that based on appearances, based on events that are more than probable, have a high probability of occurring. That I think it's going to prove to be both good business for Lincoln City as it stands right here today, and then what it develops to in the future. So I think that's first and foremost. I think then what's been really pleasing is, once we've gone out in the market, we've looked at our options. What the board have allowed us to do and encouraged us to do is the cash in that we would receive. So any payments that you would receive in any transfer dealing, they are staged and they are staggered over the course of time. But effectively, what's happened is the cash in that we've received has been able to be spent as cash out, as reinvestment. And you'll have seen that in a number of ways. Some of that's been transfer fees. Some of that's been just slightly enhancing the running costs of the first team budget. So it's been spent into wages. But effectively, what the board have encouraged and permitted us to do is then start that cycle again. And hopefully, what we've then been able to do is, if you're paying slightly more in the transfer fee, or you're bringing in players that are a little bit more developed, it does two things. One, we're able to protect ourselves with longer contracts, and B, we think that the ceiling is higher. Now, what you don't want to do is, and I don't think it'd be unfair of me to start naming players and then say, we think they've got an X or Y, Z ceiling, but that is absolutely the aim of this. The aim of this is, we know the players that have left us. And everybody always remembers the players that leave us. So, Harry Toffolo is my favourite example of that. When, Harry, I'm sure many of us remember the game in League Two, Grimsby away, and the winger giving Harry a pretty hard time for 35 minutes, to the point that you were thinking he's going to be hauled off before half time. And, he's playing in the Premier League nowadays. So, we've got to go on the journey with the younger players and the young players that we bring in. But the absolute intention is that their ceiling is higher than the players that have left us. We've just got to be the ones that show patience, as well as then apply the technical competencies of Michael and his team in order to coach and develop them, but then grow there. And we should get the benefit as they develop, both on the pitch, and then, absolutely right, the model is, at some point, the aim would be to trade and to repeat that cycle. And wouldn't it be really nice if we're repeating that cycle as a Championship football club, for example? So really happy with what we've done. I think, once the accounts and various other things get disclosed, I think the fans will be proud of the business that we did. I think we negotiated hard and fairly. But equally, the other thing that it allows us to do is, it allows us, for Lucas and for Lass, they're the examples to the players that we're bringing in, to the JJs, to the Georges and others, that we prove that this is what the model is, this is what we say we'll do, and look, this is us executing it as well. So I do genuinely think it is win-win-win with the business that we've done across the summer.
Excellent stuff. And like you say, the benefit to the players is kind of going to be the key thing that draws them here, alongside all of the chance, hopefully, of Championship football next season. Maybe, we don't know. But look, let's talk about loans, because obviously we will have a couple of players, I'd imagine, heading out on loan shortly. Obviously had some very successful ones, like Freddie, Jovan. They've turned into different players when they've been out on loan, come back to us and absolutely smashed it. This year we've got Zach going out to League Two. Are we looking to loan any more players out at the minute? And would that be kind of as a floor of League Two, kind of looking at League Two or similar level around maybe Ireland or wherever? Or is it kind of, would we be looking at the more developmental loans like Peterborough Sports, places like that?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of things really. Defining what a successful loan is obviously quite interesting. So again, without putting too much pressure, I think it's fair to say that Jovan's caught everybody's eyes in how he's come back from pre-season and what he's done. We've seen a lot of that in Jovan, and we've lived his growth and his journey, and there's still plenty to do there. But I remember, him coming back from a National League loan and various other loans, and people telling us that, well, that was a waste of time and that wasn't very successful. Those experiences in a young player's football journey are incredibly important, and it's not always that, let's call it the Freddie Draper loan, that goes to League Two, beats everybody up in League Two, on the face of it smashes everything out the park and everything that goes in front of him. All these work experiences, these loans, are very valuable for our younger players, and it's our job to ensure that we get the pathway right. And as you'll see, one of the staffing changes this year is we've further invested into the resource and put more resource into that monitoring of our younger players. But absolutely, the aim of the loans program, just as we're the beneficiary of it on the incoming, is the fact that our players go out, get that experience, get that slightly different football diet, and then come back as better and stronger for it. Some of the loans that work really well for us, and the Peterborough Sports relationship is an interesting one, but that helps us because those players get to train in our environment pretty much full time. So when we're designing the pathway and looking at what the best route is, it's not just saying, can we get them to the highest level of football? It depends on the player, the personality, depends on the opportunities available. So there's lots of things that go into deciding, what the best loan options are. And it's, I assure you, it's not just about, as high up in the football pyramid as you can get. And yeah, I think, the lads that have gone out on loan, were really excited to see, their development, and that's both on the field and off the field. It's interesting because I won't name them, but I think it's pretty obvious. There are players in the building that are being chased pretty hard by every League Two club. If we're going to let them out on loan, the plan is right now that we're not, and therefore it's really nice the fact that our younger players have developed that they are, and we are being aggressively chased, at that League Two level as well. So yeah, there's lots that go into this, and different loans at different stages of their careers mean different things. But I think we're there's a little bit of business yet left to do in that regard, and just finding the right pathways. But yeah, it's been a very pleasing summer, given the interest that we've had in our young players and the fact that we've had the luxury of being able to pick and choose those right loans.
Cool. I did count 3 pathways in there if Chris is listening. So yeah, he'll be happy with that. So there has been, I think it's probably fair to say, a little bit of criticism around the academy from some quarters of the fan base, fairly recently. How happy are you, and how happy is the rest of the sort of leadership at the club? How happy are you all with where the academy is currently at? Obviously, we know that not every player in the academy is going to become a Lincoln City first teamer, but from the outside, it seems that as long as a player is able to develop in themselves, and there will be a benefit to the football club in some way, even if they're not pulling on a red and white shirt and coming off the bench or starting in 2-3 years' time.
Yeah, in terms of where our academy is at the moment, I would say that we're best in class at what we do. We've considered looking at further investing into kind of Category 2 status and other opportunities, and based on the financial model and the investment required, we just think there are alternative ways to achieve what we want to achieve as a football club. I think the challenge with the academy is it's something that it takes a significant period of time to actually realise some of the things that we're working on in the lens of everybody. So I'll give you a really quick example, but I think it was 2018. I think Jez and I were pretty much hated in certain circles for decisions that we made. There was a team that won the cup and did a few things, and ultimately there were no pros handed out as part of that group, and we stand by. We really supported the boys that were part of that cohort. We wish them well in their football futures. But if you look at that cohort and the decisions that were made then, the players that replace them over the next few years are the likes of Sean Rowan, Jovo Makama, Freddie Draper, Hayden Can, even Alicia Ahui, who are players that are either going to directly contribute to our first team and or that we have future interests in as well as part of their development. So, it is our aim is to always be a nurturing environment, support people grow as human beings as well as players. And I know at times, we would love to see the academy full of boys and girls, which is something that we'll come on to in a moment, from Lincoln and Lincolnshire. But actually, the likes of Jovan and the likes of Freddie and, players that have come in from outside the area have actually helped us lift the waterline for the boys and girls that come from Lincoln and Lincolnshire as well. So, yeah, we're really pleased with where the academy is right now. We're really pleased with what it's done looking back and what it's providing for us. And then we've then got to recognise that Category 1 clubs are holding on to players a little bit longer now. The market's changed, so then we've got to evolve our approach as well, which is what we've been doing over the last 6 and 8 months as well, working under the leadership of John Pepper and his team. So yeah, really positive with where we're at. Feel like we've proven some of the decisions that we made in the past, and wouldn't it be fantastic? The fact that, again, without putting too much pressure on the lads, we're sat here at the start of a League One season, and Sean Rowan, Freddie Draper, Jovo Makama are serious members of our squad, and yeah, that's a great place to be. Whilst we're also getting to watch the likes of Hayden and Alicia apply their trade elsewhere. So yeah, really positive. I guess I'm biased, but hopefully others would agree with me as well.
No, that's fair enough. Yeah, I think it's always one that divides opinion. I think because you get people that say, "Oh, we should be getting the lads from all the schools in Lincoln, and then they should be getting academy trained all the way through up to the first team." And it's one of those that you just think it doesn't necessarily work like that all the time. It's not like we've got the catchment area of Manchester or London, that kind of thing. So yeah.
But Ben, one of the things we've absolutely got to do is the best boys and girls in Lincoln and Lincolnshire, we have to get them into our academy. And the way that we do that is by making sure the waterline is as high as possible and supplemented by those outside the area, so that they're getting the best opportunities as well. So yeah, I completely understand where people are coming from with that. It's not a binary strategy, and it is the nuance of it. So yeah, I accept that challenge, and hopefully, certainly as we grow and over the years, that the fans will see more and more local players coming through.
Super stuff. You've mentioned Lincoln City Women, so let's move into talking about them for a moment. Been a lot of changes, I think it's fair to say, over the closed season. Some of them maybe not as easy to make as others, but can you give us a little bit more insight regarding, any of the stuff that's gone on there, and just maybe, I think some of the fans' fears, for want of a better word, were relayed a little bit recently, but if anybody's still unsure about what's happening with Lincoln City Women, if you want to take the floor on that one.
Yeah, so first of all, there are a lot of people that have made some real selfless sacrifices and been part of the journey to get, Lincoln City Women from where they were, originally, name change from Nettleham Ladies, moving over, then the development, so that have made a real valuable contribution to Lincoln City Women, and that shouldn't be forgotten. It was an incredibly important contribution, and we're really proud of that. I think for us, what we've realised, with all due respect, is the fact that the money that we continue to invest and what we're looking to get out of it, if we kept doing the same things, we'd probably keep getting the same outcomes. And similar to the men's game, the leagues have been flooded with finance. Teams are paying a lot more money than we can afford or are even willing to at times, because it doesn't seem to make sense. So yeah, we have rewritten the whole playbook and what we're trying to achieve with Lincoln City Women, which still works to the same top line objectives, but actually how we do it and the recipe has changed. Let's be really clear. What we want with Lincoln City Women is, whether you're born male or female in the county of Lincolnshire, that you have both a pathway through your junior years, and then ultimately a team at the elite level that you can then go and ply your trade for locally, and that has to be the aim. Male or female, we're given the same opportunities. We're not quite there yet, but that is the destination that we want to arrive at. So we had to get the right technical team, so there has to be oversight from a club model point of view, and that's where John Pepper and his role has come in. He's had to make a few tough decisions. Some of them have been unpopular. It's never been made with malice or never been done, personally. But of course, there has had to be some tough decisions. And equally, this isn't going to be linear. It's not going to be, one step forward. I think at times we're just going to have to go back to base just to understand how we build and go from here. But we're very excited. We're very committed. We're very optimistic for the future. And under John's leadership and all the technical leadership, so let's be really clear, this is a football department at Lincoln City Football Club, male and female. It all is part of one, and we're bringing that in. And hopefully over the years ahead, we can make the fans really proud of what we're offering, both in the male and female side of the game, and equally then as spectators, the fact that fans can come and enjoy, both the male side and the female side. So lots of work to do. We're definitely not, at point zero, and we're definitely using the momentum created by others. But there is a brand new kind of playbook at hand within Lincoln City Women, and hopefully over the years that proves to be the right decision.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously you mentioned there about the pathway. I think that we're on 4 or 5 now. I'll stop counting. But we obviously the club now obviously has the links with the university, which is going to presumably that's going to be a case of both getting fans into the building and also to look at the talent side of things for footballers, and again in the male and female spheres. Completely that, and very similar to when we came into League One, looking at how you might have to supplement your team, 4 or 5 A-star loans, that type of journey. It's a very, very similar trajectory, I guess, that we're going to go on there, but working through, with clubs that are further up the football pyramid and further on in their journey, working with other partners such as the university. I think that's how we can start to provide and continue to move forward as Lincoln City Women, and then over the course of time, the momentum that gains and what we're able to build and support from within the development teams and the infrastructure and the players that are coming through, that's then how we'll get to where we get to. So, if you wanted a very loose simile, then it's how we came into League One, in the male side, is probably similar to how we're looking to start at Lincoln City Women now and then going forward. Okay, cool. Right, we'll shift focus back to the men's side in the upcoming season. The squad, not the only area that's had a lot of change. We've seen, David Bridges coming in as the assistant head coach, Josh Snowden in as head of sports science, Jack Coles head of recruitment, and George Bush, not those ones, coming in as a first team performance analyst. So to me, it kind of highlights the cogs in a machine aspect that I think we've spoken about on the pod before, and it doesn't feel like there's a big shift in strategy. It's kind of right, this is what we want to do, these are the people to do it. It's not like when we brought in Marcus Kubala, it wasn't a case of right, he's bringing his entire team in. It's like, no, this is what we're doing, these are how people fit into it, and it seems like we're looking to recruit the best in class for those that we can. So I mean, can you give us a little bit more info about the slight reshuffle and obviously the new incomings and how it's going to impact the squad this season?
Yeah, so firstly, Ben, what I would say is, not all of those are new roles. So there's 3 categories within that. There are people that have left us, so then therefore they've been replaced, and we recruit to place them. Some of them are roles that we're tweaking and changing the job description and roles and responsibilities. And then, as rightly called out, there are some new posts that we have created. I guess this is in the sporting side. This is the culmination. We sat down with Michael, myself, and Jez probably February, March, April time, and we were just looking. And sorry, this might sound corny, but how we make the boat go faster. So this was ultimately what resource do we have? How do we best deploy that in order to achieve our collective aims, which, as stated plenty of times in this conversation, is Championship football. So what do we need to do? And I know fans will say, well, just spend the money on a striker, or and we get that, but this is about return on investment. How can we invest, or how can we deploy our resources in order to create maximum output? So this isn't just being opulent, or just Liam, Michael, Jez just going shopping and enjoying, spending money on that. That's absolutely not the case. Every position, every role and responsibility has been audited, has been designed, because we believe this is our best chance of success. And like I say, some of the roles are new, some of them are replacing, and some of them are tweaked. And this is when we then take that helicopter view and understand how we get peak performance out of our team, not just on a single match basis, but over the course of 55, hopefully 60, games in a season. So yes, it's been designed with real clear thought and a process in mind. What I will say is I have been incredibly surprised, and I think we all have, by the sheer quality of the people that we've been able to attract to the football club. And maybe it's a reminder, without patting ourselves on the back, how far we've come as a football club, and how good a place we are to work, and how the football world is looking at us and want to be part of what we're trying to achieve here. The fact that people have left very good jobs, stable jobs in the Championship and abroad to come and work for Lincoln City, I think is hopefully gives the fans that, the fact that we're able to attract high quality practitioners shows that we're on the right trajectory here. So lots of building. We've done lots of work in terms of getting that blend of the team, and not just getting the best people, but getting the best blend. But very, very excited by what we've assembled. Naturally, David Bridges is going to be more visible than Jack Cold, for example, because Bridjo is going to be on the touchline, and you're probably going to hear and see from him, whereas Jack's probably going to be behind the scenes a lot more. But very, very important people that are going to be critical to the success of Lincoln City now in the future. And poor George, he's got a name that everybody.
Yeah, he's probably got it a few times, hasn't he?
I think so, but he handles it well.
I mean, you mentioned there about the level of kind of respect, I suppose, that is coming Lincoln City's way at the moment. I mean, I've just done the preview for the Burton game at the weekend with Dave from BBC Radio Derby, and he was saying in there that Burton's new approach sounds very similar to the way that we're doing things, and it almost sounds like we're a few years ahead of where I think a lot of other clubs are realizing that we probably should be there as well. So I mean, I don't want to sit here and blow smoke, but it sounds like it's definitely one where you can look back at it and go, I think we were making the right decisions at that point. And it seems like it's paying dividends, like you say, with people in the football world now sitting and taking a bit of notice, which is always really nice to see. So, right. We'll move away from on the pitch stuff now. If we can look at a couple of bits behind the scenes. I mean, the first one, we'll talk about you. A couple of months back, you were elected to the EFL board. Have you had any time to settle into the role yet? I imagine it's probably going to be a bit more involved over the next few months once the season's kicking off. But what does that role fully entail for you? And is there going to be any detraction from your duties at the Imps?
Yeah, so I'm really humbled to have been elected by our peers. So I think this isn't about Liam Scully. I think this is about Lincoln City Football Club. So elected by our peers to represent them on the board of the EFL. So for those of you that don't know, the Championship get 3 nominations and 3 board members. EFL League One get 2, and League Two get 1. So 3-2-1 in terms of the membership. So for Lincoln City to be given the responsibility, 50% of the commitment and the discussions and dialogue that will go on in board meetings representing the leagues, I think is really, really proud position for us to be in. What we have to be careful of is conflicts of interest, and we have to manage that. And of course there is going to be time that has to be put aside to doing league business and working. But I can only see it as a real benefit. One of the conversations that we actually had with Ron Fowler way back when we first met him was the real value that he got out of being on the MLB board when he was running the Padres, and the fact that he sees whilst you have to give, you equally get and you receive in the same regard. So the work started already. We're working really hard to improve the spending rules in the division, both this year and with things that are coming down the track. We've obviously got big ticket items like the football governance bill that's coming down the road. So yeah, I had my first board meeting a couple of weeks ago. Certainly enjoyed it. Around the table with some very impressive individuals, some real big hitters, and really proud that Lincoln City have been voted by our peers to take that seat. So time will tell what that ends up really being and really feeling like, but it's been a very good start and certainly a pretty hefty to-do list to start with, given the football governance bill and the spending rules are agenda items 1 and 2.
Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, I do have some questions on those, so we'll come to those in a minute. But outside of those two, maybe, is there anything else that's a priority that you can see for League One clubs? And I suppose it's really, like you say, without a conflict of interest, just trying to strike the balance between this will be good for Lincoln City and this will be good for the whole of the division. So is there anything outside those two big tickets that you can see as a priority?
Yeah, I think once we sort the financial ecosystem out, I think a lot of the other problems that we do have and that do exist, will be taken care of as part of that. We do have to find a way to, ensure that our ownerships of football clubs, those that are custodians, are acting responsibly. Quite a few times over the recent years, we've seen owners, really back clubs and then turn the tap off overnight. That's, led to massive issues. But I do think that they all fall back to, the items 1 and 2 that are top of the radar. But there are no doubt going to be things that we're going to have to manage that come at us, in year, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think of interest right now is definitely the spending side of things.
I mean, on that, it seems to have gone a little bit quiet from a fan's perspective with regard to that spending. The new governance bill, let's say. Is there much movement behind the scenes? Obviously, we've got a new government in power now, and it seemed like it was maybe being pushed down the priority list before the election. Is there anything that you've seen and that we can be privy to that maybe is sounding a little bit more positive than it was back in June?
Yeah, so this isn't a political statement. I'll make this as a general statement, but it's really easy for a party not in power to make commitments and pledges as to what would happen once they are elected as the government, and that's the situation that we found ourselves in. So now this is about looking people in the whites of the eyes, testing those commitments made, and seeing if they can walk the talk. And that's effectively where we're at. I've got no reason that I've seen or heard to doubt that. But as we have said in all our dialogue with ministers and those that we've been engaging with, we will judge them by their actions. I think the last engagement with government prior to the election was pretty. I think I've seen it described as a car crash of a meeting with the minister in charge. I still think that is, if I wrote a book, I think that would be up there for one of the most bizarrest meetings and situations that I've ever been in. It was just quite out of touch and really missed the beat and was a bit of a misstep in my opinion from the government at that time. But we've moved on from that. That is utterly irrelevant. We have a new sheriff in town. They're in charge, so it's over to those in charge to walk the talk, and that's what we're waiting to see. And fundamentally, we've got to have a football governance bill that has teeth and that deals with the reform of the spending side as well as redistribution. Without both, it is an utterly irrelevant bill. So let's see whether that can be delivered. We're probably just in that idling stage as those that have been elected are getting up to speed, working through things with the policymakers, and the public servants who've been part of the drafting of this. So let's see where we end up. But there's reason for optimism. But again, we'll judge that once action's occurred.
Okay. Obviously, we're talking new deals, new TV deal come in, new streaming deals, all the rest of it. We spoke briefly when we met at the opening for the community hub. But just to kind of elaborate on that talk a little bit, we're interested in more of the overall picture from it. I mean, we've obviously seen a couple of games rearranged already, including the Exeter game, which is probably a bit of a pain point for some fans that are going to be travelling. Do the club get any input on suggesting which games get rearranged, or is it a case of this slot is available, you are in that slot? Is there any give and take with it? I mean, obviously, I suppose, the take from the club, for the club's perspective, is very much there's a bit more money available now. So, is there anything alongside that the club can do to not push back, but maybe have a bit more input on what's going on?
Yeah, so look, let's be not sit on the fence with this or abdicate responsibilities. Let's be really clear. The full details of the TV deal was presented to Lincoln City Football Club, as it was with all other member clubs, and based on the total package of what was an offer, we voted and we supported it. I think I'm right in saying it was unanimously supported by 72 member clubs. If it wasn't, it was very close. So let's be really, really transparent and remind ourselves we support the new TV deal. Did we at the time know there are going to be pros and cons to it? Yes, absolutely. And our assessment was based on the net effect, and not just crudely financially. It was about what this is going to do for the EFL overall. To then answer specifically your other question on this was, do we get a choice in the games? We get notification that games have been tentatively selected for broadcast, and then we have the opportunity to object based on a certain set of criteria. And that criteria is predominantly around safety and risk. So, I don't know, if a game for Lincoln City was moved from a Saturday to a Friday night that was taking place at the same time as the Christmas market or something of that, is typically the criteria that you would have in order to object to that. So and then from there on, then the TV picks are made public. Look, I guess everybody's going to have a different perspective on this. I completely understand, the fans that will be travelling to Exeter no longer, getting to see that. The flip that I would just add is the fans that aren't travelling or no longer will go will also get to see, fantastic broadcast production of the game, get to see kind of main channel coverage on Sky Sports, and then therefore, does it benefit more, equally as same number or more people from the movement of that? Look, I'm a football fan. I've grown up on the terraces. I understand why it narks people right off. Hopefully what we have done when we negotiated the deal and when we asked the league to put in certain parameters is that significantly advanced notice, and the clauses that have been put in that at least then provide that long lead in and give fans as much notice as possible. So yeah, look, I definitely don't want to abdicate responsibility. I understand what I'm saying will knock quite a few people off. Hopefully they can understand that the balance and the challenge that we had in making the decision, and it's not done lightly and without due consideration. So yeah, fully understand. Let's hope that we can get into a really good rhythm with this and learn to improve our communications as we go and make this better for all, not just not just the situation that we have immediately right now. So let's see if we can continue to improve it.
Okay, fair enough. If we can follow it up with the streaming side of things, obviously, we've got Imps Plus happening this season, and we're, hopefully the fans abroad will be able to enjoy the games. My understanding of that is that it's going to be essentially what is the same as the TV feed coming in through the service, because we've got to ask about it. Obviously, the Arsenal under-21 friendly, I was unable to get to the ground, so we watched it at home, and we watched some of it at home. But it was one of those instances where when I was looking at it, it wasn't like the stream was dropping itself. It was something wrong with the feed at the stadium end. So whoever was plugging bits in wherever was, that was the bit that was working, and the stream itself continued. It just continued with a black screen and then the logos and everything. So it sounds like, or it felt like that might have been a little bit more experimental with the Arsenal game, and then the other feeds that are going to be coming in are going to be on the Sky Sports / regular production level. Is that probably fair to say?
Yeah. So let's deal with the two bits with real clarity as to their demarcation. So the stream and the system that was used for all the friendlies is a very different system and a very different partnership to what will be used once the season is in play. And the reason why we've had to do that for the friendlies is because they're still installing the various different technologies and getting everything up to speed. In terms of, just to give you a full answer, what happened at the weekend, we're incredibly sorry for, and obviously anyone that wants refunds, the opportunity there is to get them. There's an article on the website explaining how they do that. The feed that was leaving the stadium was clean and was fit. And we know that because of the full match highlights that people can view and can watch. It was actually a local issue. And then when it goes, into the ether and then goes to the partner that was then streaming it, it was a local issue at their end, and we identified that. We're disappointed because the partnership and the terms and conditions that we signed up to, we'd hoped there'd have been more resilience at that end, but ultimately there wasn't, and we chose that partner, and we have to hold our hands up and accept it's not good enough, and that's why we're bearing the costs of refunds in that regard. In terms of them going forward for the Imps Plus and then the Sky Sports Plus platform, just to be really, really clear, Imps Plus is the free, everybody domestically can and should sign up for that, and that's where all our video content, exclusive interviews, things that go on behind the scenes, that's how they will, domestically or internationally, that's how you can access the service. What's different is if you're internationally based, that's the platform that you'll also be able to stream the games. Similar to if you're in the UK before, outside of the blocked hours, so outside of 2:45 till 5:30, that's effectively, you'll pay your match fee and you'll watch through Imps Plus. We'll also receive the money that those people buy and subscribe from through Imps Plus, so internationally. Domestically, Sky Sports have bought the rights, and that's part of the new TV deal. So anything that happens domestically will have to be bought through the Sky Sports Plus platform or the Now TV platform, and that's how the domestic market will subscribe and watch games that are outside the blocked hours. So between 2:45 and 5:30, so the 3 p.m. kickoffs, they still will not be available, and they'll only be available internationally. And then domestically, anything that is moved earlier, later, outside of those blocked hours or the midweek games, that'll be available Sky Sports Plus or Now, depending on your method of choice. If you're a Sky Sports subscriber, you'll get it free and automatically or part of your package. If you're not, then there are still day passes or week passes that you can subscribe to. So hopefully that clears that up. But what is really exciting is 4 camera feeds, broadcast quality production. I think that's really exciting as we're trying to grow the game as to what people will receive. So yeah, four cameras, neutral commentary, lots of improvements to that service that we should be seeing from the start of this season.
Excellent stuff. So yeah, it's should answer a lot of questions that are out there, I think, and maybe allay a few more fears. So last couple of questions really now. We'll move on to some other stuff that's happening behind the scenes. The catering side of things at the club, obviously that's now been taken in-house. What was the major driving force behind that? I mean, I can imagine there'll be a few answers out there from a few different people. But from the club's perspective, is that... From where I'm sat, it almost feels like a decision to avoid the sort of min-maxing that seems to go on sometimes when contracts are delivered. Like, you get somebody, they'll get the maximum amount for the contract and then they'll provide the minimum possible amount of service for what's gone on. I don't want to put words in your mouth and disparage any previous partners or anything like that, but to me, that's what it felt like. So if you could elaborate a little bit on the decision to take it in-house, and hopefully whether this will mean it'll be possible to get a bottle of water at half-time without missing the kickoff?
Look, the number one driver has been to improve the fan experience. Let's be unequivocal about that. We have some challenges within our infrastructure, but what we do know is that we love and we care and we have pride in what we want to do, and sometimes just putting that love and attention into what we're doing rather than working with a national or international company is we feel is probably the right way to go. So number one driver unequivocally is to improve the fan experience. There are two other elements to it that I've got to mention. Firstly, when we used to franchise off parts of the football club, that was because as a growing leadership team and as a growing football club, we wanted to concentrate on elements that was more our core business. Whereas now we feel we've grown as a football club, we've become established in the Football League and hopefully in League One, that we feel that we could apply our attention and our bandwidth, our capacity into some of these areas. So now then wholly taking responsibility for this as a management and leadership team, not as a one-touch approach by way of managing a contract partner to that. So that was one of the other drivers. Look, it'd be remiss of me not to say that we believe there's some sporting benefit as well in the fact that we look at the spending rules that are going to be coming down the line, and in a franchise model you're provided with royalties. So for example, X% of turnover that hits you, that comes into your accounts, whereas under this way we'll have the full income and the full expenditure. So not in the accounts that will be published February 25, but 26, you'll probably see a spike, or you will do, or we'll have got it wrong, a spike in income and a spike in expenditure as well, that equally is going to enable us to look at the spending rules and hopefully gives us the ability over time to give Michael Skubala more of a war chest to go and attack the sporting side. So let me be really clear, absolutely fan experience, number one. Number two, taking ownership and of it as a management team, and then number three, because we believe it will help us as the rules evolve in football, to have that full income into our accounts as well.
And just to put my mind at ease, can you confirm that Curry Jacks are back in the fan village?
Yeah, so the local partners and the vendors, absolutely, and I can watch it dribbling down your chin like we've seen many times last year in the fan village.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. But look, I mean, I think we've covered pretty much everything that we wanted to. We had a couple of questions from the patrons. Obviously, yourselves and Gaz put our heads together and got some questions. But finally, Gaz mentioned something on the podcast this week that he's heard a rumor, and we'd like to see we'd like to get your opinion on this one.
Do I need my poker face? Right, hang on. I'll try and be serious.
What's this about a US tour?
Yeah, this is me. Like, this is when Luke will be hiding behind scenes. Like, this is why he kicks me all the time. So yeah. Oh, right. Let me. So I was asked by Michael Horton, are you with the new TV deal? CBS have taken the contract. Are you looking at maybe a US tour? Like, the answer to that question is yes. Because straight question, straight answer. So is there a piece of work going on at the football club right now to analyse how could a US tour look like? What would be the cost? What would be the sporting? What would be the commercial benefit to that? Yes, that's something that is going ahead right now. And it would be remiss of us with Landon Donovan, Harvey Jabera, Ron Fowler. It would be remiss of us not to be exploring their networks and their opportunities. The only reason we would be doing this is if there is significant commercial benefit and opportunity, and equally that we don't feel that it hurts us from a sporting point of view, and or that there's sporting opportunity. To give you a number, there's probably a 5 or 10% chance of this happening next summer. That probably increases over the course of time. So yeah, we're looking into it. That's all. That's I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm not trying to be coy. That is the simple facts. We're exploring it. And if there is something, we would announce it in plenty of time to ensure that fans have the opportunity, to join us. So it's a piece of work we're looking at. Probability 5-10% for next summer.
Fair enough. Just save 4 spots on the plane for me, Gaz, Charlie, and Chris. Yeah, that'll be all right.
No problems.
So look, I mean, I think that's pretty much all the questions that we've got down. Is there anything additionally that you either want to put out there, or just drop a casual exclusive into the chat? It's all good.
Well, hopefully we've got some good news coming out of the club in the next. By the time this goes out, 12, 24 hours.
Okay.
There's definitely things that we're working on in the background. And again, hopefully, really appreciate everybody's support. Hopefully the fans, we continue to do you proud, and just thank everybody for their support. The season ticket numbers have been incredible. I think we've sold out, very close to selling out. The away end at Burton, and it's because of the support that we have that the investors continue to have the enthusiasm. Every player that we've spoken to at the summer that has played in League One, played against Lincoln, or even watched us on the telly, always goes, the crowd, at the stadium are incredible there. So it really does make a difference. So thank you to everybody for the support. Really hope that you look forward to riding the roller coaster with us that is a League One season ahead. And hopefully we'll be all smiling come the end of the season as much as we are doing so now.
Great stuff. Well, look, thank you for joining us, Liam. We do appreciate it. It's been nearly an hour of your time. It's always a pleasure. And hopefully we'll have a few more chats throughout the season as we try and hit that goal that you've mentioned a couple of times in the pod. So,
yeah, indeed. I'll bring a tissue for that curry on your chin, mate.
Cheers. Appreciate it. No, but that's going to be it for this very special episode of the podcast, guys. Thank you for joining us. Get yourself subscribed. Check the YouTube channel out. We've got the Burton preview up at the moment, and I think there's a few more bits coming very shortly. But until next time, do you want to do it with me, Liam? Up the imps.
Up the imps.